October 23rd, and it's step 29, actually moving to step 0, and we're already there. It's Astro Monday, and this week's forecast is going to be crazy. Waiting for you to tune in. This is going to be a powerful one. So everybody get your hats on, get ready. This is going to knock your socks off here. Christopher!
Hey buddy, how's it going? Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, Chris.
How's everyone today?
We're good, and we're in Cancun.
Cancun, that's beautiful. That sounds great, man. I can't keep up with y'all. I thought last time I heard it was Joshua Tree, so y'all are just all globe-trotting around the world.
That's true.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. She has a question in particular.
Sure. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
You want to start right off the bat?
Yeah, let's start the question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and then maybe later we'll talk about you.
Okay, that sounds
wink,
fine. Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. We'll talk about me, yeah.
Okay. So being a Scorpio.
No, being a Pisces with a
Scorpio
moon.
A Scorpio in my moon.
Okay, being a Scorpio moon.
Right, I'm paying close attention today because in our Sirius Joy app, it says that the sun is ingress Scorpio, and it says, the sun has entered the transformative sign of Scorpio. This season will bring a change within your soul, deeper than you have ever seen. Trust the process. So can you share with me what the sun ingress in my moon, or in that sign, means to me with the Scorpio moon?
Well, an ingress is our fancy astrology way of saying enters. That's a fancy schmancy term. That's a medical term. That's a doctor term. So ingress is when it moves into the next sign. If you have a Scorpio moon, so the sun brings masculine, divine love, energy, and it's the source of all power. So it lights things up, which means that your emotions, your moon, will be lit up this month, particularly as the sun moves to the degree of your moon. What's the step number of your moon?
27.
Okay, so it's a while yet. You can sit down and take a break. It's going to be 26 days before it hits your moon.
Give him a break.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give him yeah. Sorry, Gary.
Yeah, no, it's good. 26, I got 26 days to prepare.
Yeah, but this is the reason why it's going to change our life forever is because actually today the sun is trining Saturn at 0 degrees Pisces. And the sun just entered into Scorpio at 0 degrees, as you read. So that's a new day. We're starting a whole new spiritual day. This is we're all being spiritually reborn literally today. It's beginning today. So I think Scorpio is where the line is, where the boundaries are. And so this whole month is about the old and the new, the old and the new. So drawing a line between the old and the new. And for you, that would be emotionally true more than anything. So this is a time for you to let go of certain feelings that maybe you have been holding on to that are no longer appropriate. And the way you let go of a feeling is you forgive it. You stop holding on, trying to control it. You let it flow through you. You ask it to go ahead and move on and fade away. And it's sort of like rowing a boat. It's just every day you just sort of row a little bit away from those feelings and let them go. If that makes sense.
That sounds
good. Yeah, and being a Pisces, it's really affecting you because Saturn's in Pisces and Neptune is in Pisces. So, for you, this is particularly true. Probably one of the most profound next years you've ever lived in your whole life.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, well, it's about releasing. I mean, you're going to release emotional baggage. You were born probably with a lot of emotional baggage. And so it's time to go ahead and let that baggage go. Now, I will say, good thing you're with Human Garage because the body will, of course, have some sort of a follow through with that, right? Because it's all stored in the fascia.
She got it this morning. She goes, a bee stung me behind my knee, and I'm like, no bee. No bee. And she goes, it's a bee sting. And then I got her to put some acid water on it so there's no bee sting. And then all of a sudden it's like right up underneath the breast on that side. And I'm like, same place. It's Scorpio. That's gallbladder, and that's resentment. That's your Scorpio line being driven on her left side, which is all about her feminine aspect, her moon, everything.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Scorpio moons do hold on to is resentment.
Yeah.
Like they have a hard time forgiving. I think it's a mechanism as a means of preventing it from happening again.
Yeah, it's a prevention.
That's what it feels like
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, absolutely.
But you're actually, you know, keeping the battery charged with resentment, which means you're actually attracting more resentment by holding on to the resentment. So it actually backfires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gary's laughing because this is what he said last night before bed.
Oh yeah, yeah, just love it. Actually, just all we have to do is talk about the truth of what's going on.
My daughter just said true.
Yeah,
I just said true.
All we have to do is talk about the truth of what's going on, and it's just a constant sense of amusement for me, because it's like there's a difference. She has a habit of living in it, not observing it. It's like, oh my God, I'm in it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's difficult to separate from it like that, to be caught in it. I mean, you have to sort of breathe through it like labor. You have children, right?
Yes, I do a lot of.
Yeah, it's labor. You just breathe through it. You have to just breathe. When you're in it, you just have to breathe through it. The resistance to it, though, is what persists, right? The resistance makes it persist. So to just go ahead and breathe through it. And as soon as you say yes to it and allow it to consume you and take you over, and stop fighting the fact that it's taking you over, then it loses its power real quickly. It's actually...
And then the Gemini rising kicks in and she goes, I got it again from the other side.
Right. Well, and your mind is also a troublemaker, because your mind was once the troublemaker. And so your mind is overactive, trying to not be the troublemaker, which is causing the trouble. Right? The mind is overactive. It's overcorrecting is what's happening, when really, again, 14 is where my heart belongs. So I think that's the magic mantra for you. It's like, okay, yes, I'm in this fury, I'm in this anger, I'm in this resentment, but where's my heart belong? My heart belongs over here. Okay, well then let's start going where I belong, and focus on where you belong, not that you're not where you belong.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
That's the positive way out of it. And the heart will diffuse a lot of that. When you go back to your heart and just remind your inner child, like, hey, I'm not abandoning you. Because when you go off thinking about it and feeling bad, you're abandoning yourself, really. That's what I call sitting in a dirty diaper. You're just sitting in the shit and you're crying about it, and it's just like, well, that's just going to give you a rash. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not the kindest, most loving thing to do, to let ourselves suffer. If there's new information, well then yes, let me hear the new information. But if it's the same old complaint we've always had about Earth, then you're just suffering. You're just forcing yourself. You're actually forcing yourself to suffer more than you need to. Right?
Okay.
It's not very fair and nice to yourself.
Thanks. I appreciate you so much.
I love you
my
too.
daughter Heather's on there, absolutely agreeing 100% and laughing.
She's like, praise the Lord. Text me anytime, Heather.
Finally someone's saying what she's been saying. And actually, she's a Aquarius and has an Aquarius moon, so she'll have some moon stuff going on.
I think her Aquarius moon's at like 26 degrees or something.
Yeah, she's 26.
Oh, that's pretty high up. Well, she's teaching you how to detach, is what that is. That Aquarius is the ability to detach. They can observe it more than anyone. They can be aloof in the corner of the room and observe it more than anyone. So maybe ask her, what's her secret power? What's her trick? How does she just throw it to the side like that? Because that's probably what she's showing for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll ask.
Quite often our children are little factories of what we need to learn.
Yeah, I think always, actually.
Yeah.
It's they certainly, children and animals radiate. I started noticing that they have the diseases of the parents, and it's, and you can even see it even in the chemistry, the lab work we do with children. They have this, like the children, especially under the age of 13, have the exact same lab work as a mother.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, especially considering they literally shared the blood with the mother. I mean,
well, we would change the mother's chemistry, go back and test the children, and the children, all of a sudden, their livers, their kidneys, their adrenals, all of a sudden were okay after the mother was okay.
Well, that's
and we got so many mothers there trying to fix their kids, and I'm like, it's not the kid that needs the fixing here.
Yes, fascinating. That's interesting because they talk about, they've done some scientific studies about a mother's intuition, and there seems to be some sort of biochemical connection that a mother in her body can feel the child, and the child can still feel the mother, even though they're separated. So
the biology you can talk about all you want. It's an innate sense. This is what's happening as we become more psychic, but we become more psychic when we take our crystal, our fascia, which communicates, and we open it up and we remove the stories and the narratives. We're all psychic,
Yeah.
but we have been narrated out of that. We've been told that's not how the world works.
Right.
It's like you know, a couple of real life examples. It's like when a child, a mother knows what a child wants without any words. Well,
Right.
this technically, as we progress and move our bodies through the cycle, we are becoming the same way. And the ultimate is the intuition. That's back to the intuition. Well, is it intuition, or is it just being able to read what's already there, which is the field? Intuition means that I can accept the information from my field with less judgment.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all like,
oh, 100%.
Chris, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I don't know if Gary knows, but I broke my left foot, Gary, right before our last live, actually. I was actually holding in the pain the entire live. So I did not have constipation despite my face. It was pain in the left foot, fractured in 2 places. And it's funny because Saturn is bones and Pisces is feet.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty
I got
sure.
some stuff for you, dude. And if you go on our profile, I'll show you the one-footed sprinter. It had a Liz Frank break, one of the worst ones on the top of the foot and the heel at the same time.
Ooh.
And we took the whole thing without no cast, walking on. He's not supposed to even touch it. Weight bear for 9 months. He's walking, climbing, using it every day right now.
Oh, send me that for sure.
Yeah,
because I am way caught in the medical system now, man. I'm just like, oh, there's fear tactics. You might need screws. You had to hurry up and get an appointment, but we can't book you for 10 days. So it's like,
yeah. I mean, Chris, if there's some stuff we'll get you to do, but my suggestion, if you want to go that way, is let's get together. Like, let's spend a little bit of time together and work it out.
Okay.
Because I'll show you some stuff that you can do, but I'll show you his break. It's a Liz Frank. I don't know what kind of break you got, but Liz Frank is the worst. It breaks on the top. It breaks the metatarsals and broke the heel, split it in half at the same time.
Ooh,
yeah, and
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, and so within a month of being with us, no more crutches, walking on it, complete weight bearing. Now it's, a couple months later, he's literally hasn't touched crutches. He's walking around. He's doing stuff. He's playing his activities every day.
Oh, that's great. Well, then we'll make this a reality series here, Gary. Each time we check in, we'll tune into my foot, and I'll be a case example for him.
Yeah, you might have to get on a plane and come see me though.
Oh, okay. Well, if I can,
I had that thought too.
Yeah.
Just a minute ago.
Yeah, maybe that'll work, or maybe you want to come down to Costa Rica with us.
Okay. When you let me know.
We're here. We're here too. So, but at this level, I'll show you what to do and tell you he has somebody there to help him every day, and that's how he got through it. But I'm guessing that there's nobody in that spot right now. But coming down here, we can get the fascia loosened up, and I'll show you the movements that you can do.
So we were saying it's the right foot, Pisces. It's the feet. Can you elaborate?
Left foot.
Left foot.
Left foot is the left foot, which is my psychic intuitive. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it was my foot just stepped down and just failed. It just for some reason just completely failed. I don't even know what happened.
I can tell you why that happens actually, because I've been studying the phenomena of tripping. Like I have a video of her falling where there's no physical way she should have fell during the situation.
I understand.
Yeah. It's because of how we actually move. We don't move through muscle skeletal action and thought. We move through the fascia.
Okay.
And those signals come from our entropic field. Like when we're thirsty, like before we even move the body, we have to have an emotion called a desire. But to get an emotion doesn't come from the brain. Yeah. So we have to get some signal somewhere that says you need something, dummy. Zzz. And you're like, oh, what is that? And then the narrative starts. Oh, that's a desire. What's a desire? Oh, I'm thirsty. What am I thirsty for? Then the brain connects to it, and then that emotion now gets us up and moves. But that means that the emotion is coming first before the emotion, which is generated by the brain. So they're coming together. So that when we need something, that's why when we need a fall, all of a sudden we break ourselves or we hurt ourselves in a specific area. That's why there's always a reason behind it.
Yeah.
So
I think there is.
Left foot, and then Pisces is the feet.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that for you?
My take is I'm in my second Chiron return, my second Chiron perfection, and so When I went down last year, that was the first Chiron pass. Now Chiron has now it's swung past again. I think I've gone deeper in my history. I had a couple flashbacks on the crutches of medieval times with the club foot. So I actually think I created a past life wound again to release a past life trauma. I don't think I ever walked correctly again in my past life, and I didn't until I was on crutches, and I had suddenly like,
And
holy shit, this is
and,
I remember this. First time I've ever broken any bones in
and
this lifetime.
going forward in this life, it's about opening up to your emotional side,
Yeah. Yes.
because you power through.
And my feminine side. Yeah, totally. It's
Yeah,
about opening up to my,
emotional,
yeah,
feminine, yeah, everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
because we're being called to, and I know I had all those issues, like my left foot here over the last 6 months. The stomach meridian swole up to the point where I couldn't walk on it.
Wow.
And that was my version of it. But that's our Aries, and I've got my Aries rising, and I've got Aries all through my chart. It's the
Yeah,
Aries
my
being
Chiron is in
called.
Aries.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it totally is. I mean, I'm 9 all over the place.
yeah.
I have 9-degree rising, Chiron at 18 at 9, Sun at 18 at 9, Uranus at 19, Saturn at 19. I'm just a sliver away from being Gary. By the way, happy 29. We had 29 today.
Yeah, 29 already to 0. I'm on the 0 already.
Yeah. We're now
Yeah.
on Scorpio 0, and we are drawing a new line. It was so nice to
Great to
talk
see
to
you,
you,
Chris. I'll
Cynthia.
be up.
Hang
Yeah.
in there.
Bye.
I'll be
Talk.
counting the days to 27.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
so interestingly enough, speak of that. I mean, we've been talking on Astro Monday, and we did Astro Monday while I was in Joshua Tree, and we talked about it. Well, if it wasn't, first of all, we had this big corporate event where we had these leaders, and we were supposed to show up. Well, there is originally going to be on 25 degree. And I'm like, oh man, I don't feel like doing anything on 25 degrees. Like, it's just Pisces. I just want to lay down. And then they automatically called up and said, sorry, they had a problem with the private jet. It's going to be, can you guys do it the next day? So we did the next day, which is 26, which is perfect because that's Capricorn. We're going to make a decision
Yeah.
about relationships.
The highest number of business, 26.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it was really prolific because they're trying to figure out, I mean, these are significant business leaders, and they're like, how did you do all this without having a corporation behind it? Like, how did you do this with like how did you do this on donations? Like, how did that work? And how did, like, they can't get their head around it.
Yeah.
You guys got that many people worldwide, but where'd the money for marketing come from? And then our event itself at Joshua Tree happened on 28.
Oh,
and it literally started, 19 minutes. I started 19 minutes after 11, which is when we flipped over to 28 degree. And what's significant about 28 degree in Libra?
Libra is when you are manifesting a long-term relationship. So, my classic analogy is if you're getting married, you walk down the aisle at step 27, you put on the ring at step 28.
So we walked down the aisle on step 27, and literally we're getting ready. You could feel it coming up, and then 28. It was basically, I mean, we had 500 people show up in the desert.
Wow.
And we purposely did that because if we did it in LA, there would have been 5,000 people, but I didn't want the 5,000. I wanted the people who were the hardcore, serious. They were gonna. So we had people come. We had people drive from Minnesota 30 hours and come from Canada, and we had people come from Jersey and Maine and fly in and stuff like that. And that's how like, I wanted to see what is the core of our group. Like, who's going to get on a plane with short notice? Who's going to cancel things? That's what I was looking for. And it was a new relationship. It was a new relationship with our whole community. It was profound. And, of course, there's a massive lineup of people to just see us and talk to us. And they brought kids who had brain bleeds and disorders and spastic cerebral palsy and cancers and lots of rape and sexual abuse and stuff like that. It was just insane, but it was so transformative even for me.
That's brilliant. You're like Yoda. You're set up in a swamp on Dagobah. It's not going to be easy to get to you, like to have the master, but those who climb that mountain, I think that's why a lot of enlightenment schools are way up on a mountain. If you can't climb the mountain, you're not ready.
Yeah,
Padawan.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So again, basically what we could feel though is we could feel exactly what we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks on Astro Mondays.
Okay.
And if you guys haven't watched the last 3 weeks, you got to watch the last 3 weeks to understand where we are today and why it's going. People, the switch has been flipped. You know, the other people are in dire needs, either emotionally, physically, and you know the conversation is like, wow, you know, like I finally just understood my husband, but we're breaking up now.
Oh my God! Wow.
Lots of that, like lots of people ending relationships.
Yes, and that was, I think, you know, the season for that is for two reasons. One, astrological reasons. One, it's a new spiritual day with the sun trining Saturn today at 0 degrees. This is a new spiritual day, so I believe we are technically beginning to work on our next lifetime now, if you want to think about it that way. So we're officially creating that new karma. And then the South Node in Libra is a once every 18 year. So we're at the end of an 18-year relationship cycle with long-term relationships. So we're coming to a close. We're basically closing out spiritual contracts that we
so
have
like 2005, since
Correct.
2005.
Precisely. 2005 is the last time the South Node was in Libra. And I myself went through a big chip then. I moved from reality TV to internet and ended up changing all my colleagues, most of the people I hang out with, kind of ended a social scene that I was in. So I remember a huge change of the crew at that time.
Yeah, that's when I started going with the wireless encryption business going to LA.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's when I got into technology too, actually. And with the North Node in Aries, it means that the character, our character, our expression of ourselves is onto a new path. So it's really that we're onto a new path, and so we're leaving relationships that no longer apply behind and coming full circle in those relationships.
Right.
Which is really what that last week was about in Libra.
Yeah, so and the 29. So interestingly enough, like normally on a 29s, this is my day, that's my jam. I go. You know, everybody. It's like the world's. It's like the eye of the storm. It's like the world's going crazy around me. And we got done with the event, and a couple things that I noticed. Number one is I normally would be wiped out for like 3 or 4 days. It used to be like 3 or 4 weeks. After that, I mean, I feel fantastic, even that night. But that night, so last night, was it last night? No, the night before last. So so all of a sudden, my body's shifting, and I could feel it. My heart meridian opened up. I was on live, so my heart was opening up. I'd moved some tissue in there, and a bee came and got me right there. The bee venom is super important for the body. It helps. So it got me right on my heart meridian on my left side.
Wow.
And it was just like one thing after another symbolism. And then that opens up all of this. Well, right over here, I at night just before I go to sleep, I'm like, oh, feels like somebody's stabbing me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all my fascia is releasing. But everything in my body told me not to fix it. Like not to go to Jason or Cynthia and say, hey, let's fix this. So I laid in the pain. I mean, it's something that we can resolve really quickly. But I laid in the pain all last night. I traveled all yesterday. I could hardly breathe. And I just, wow. What is this showing me? Why is it here? And then, boom, it started populating the old memories of playing a victim, of being a victim, feeling nobody cared for me when I was a kid. All that stuff was all coming out. So even when we got here, back here last night, my thing is like, hey, let's take out the table, let's fix it. I said, no, I even went to sleep last night doing the same thing. And this morning it's 90% gone, which means I didn't have to fix it anyway. So the idea was not to keep fixing stuff in my body, but to take the lesson and let the body figure it out.
That's interesting. And for those who don't know, friends, I've been friends with Gary for a long time. He has suffered just about every physical body situation that's possible to mankind.
Oh,
he walks his talk.
Yeah, I've been getting it. And it was funny because I had somebody else today who handles our questions in our Instagram, and those questions in our Instagram with we have a artificial intelligence that goes in and answers, but it's been learning me for a year how I answer what I say, and it's getting really accurate. So 80% of the answer that you would generally get would be what I would give you. and then we put a human touch on it, and that. So she was saying, well, she was talking about why she's getting good at answering people, and I said, well, why? It's because she's had so much pain herself, like me.
Yeah.
And it's easy to answer somebody when you have the personal experience. It's hard when you're trying to think about it, know the right answer. But if you've lived it, you can answer it like that.
Not to mention the compassion.
Yeah.
The bedside manner of the teacher facilitator is so much better because you can see in their eyes, they really feel you. They completely feel you. And to me, that makes such a difference because there's something about when you're injured, you just want to be heard, and you can see it in Western medicine's impatience. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
That's the last thing they want to hear is you're suffering, and it's just like, but what do I do with this suffering? But yeah, I think that compassion is what builds you.
Yeah, and that's been, this is also why you're so good at working with people, because you have had, since I've known you, talk about physical issues. The first time I met you, we did work together, you ended up in a hospital.
Yeah.
Necrotizing fasciitis. How many people can say they've had necrotizing, their body's been eating themselves?
I don't know. I'm certainly up there on that food chain, aren't I? I did that more than once too.
Yeah,
actually. That was a repeating. Yeah. I've had pneumonia a few times in my adult life. I always tell people I don't get sick, I get hospitalized.
So, but what's funny is people, here's the view of society, because we view sickness as a weakness. Yeah. So there must be something wrong. You're not good. And I'm like, actually, no, that if this is why the word wrong is sick is wrong. I'm detoxing is what we say, because when I have a flu, my body's detoxing and I'm getting stronger over something. And at the end of it, I'm better than when I started. Yeah. So sickness means I'm leading to death, which isn't true.
Right. That is true. Yes. And by the way, I did have the flu. I tested positive for the flu with the X-ray.
That's perfect right now. That's actually where you're at right now. That's what I would expect, because basically what I say is that we're all like boats on the ocean, and consciousness is the ocean. It's rising, and everybody's affected. Not one person gets away from this, but those boats have anchors, and some of those anchors are dug in so deep that as the water rises, we're going to capsize. And that's what's happening with the people that have significant traumas. And that's what is showing up everywhere. Significant traumas in people's lives, physically, emotionally, car accidents out of nowhere. Yeah. Sudden diagnoses, never had it before. It's like, oh, you have this and you have 3 months to live. It's been crazy.
It has been. And actually, I did last week. I can't tell you how many light workers I know that went down last week. I really think so. Again, today is the start of a new spiritual story with ourselves. And I agree, just even with Cynthia saying as well, that you have to let that old story go, that old baggage go. There has to be a release. And I even saw the flu and even this broken foot as the release of the old story, going through that process of letting it go. So yeah, when you rise up, then anything heavy is either going to pull you down or have to be separated from.
Yeah,
I agree.
So okay. So we've been talking about this now 3 weeks straight, about this change, about how this next 9 months are going to be personal health issues for 3 months, and then issues with our community for 3 months after that. That's 2.5 months from now, and then issues with the world. And that issues with the world is the same time that the world wars have happened in the past in the Civil Revolution.
Exactly.
So let's talk about what this next week looks like, because I have a feeling going into our 40 days with you, and I have a feeling that this is going to drive something or start pinning something, like putting a pin on the map for most people. And this next week is where it all starts. And by the way, I could feel, I normally can feel, but I could feel Scorpio coming this morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too, actually. Scorpio is here. I think we're officially there now. Checking the astrological clock. We're at 0 degrees. Well, we have a full moon lunar eclipse on Saturday afternoon, so it won't be visible in the United States, the actual eclipse, which, by the way, would indicate anyone who sees an event, a lunar event, is the ones that need it the most. So North America saw the solar eclipse a week and a half ago at 21 degrees, which means North America needed that boost. Europe and Asia are going to see this lunar eclipse, which means they more than anyone need to do a release. A lunar eclipse is an emotional release. So one could say that this Humpty Dumpty fall that I took, probably me getting ahead, as I always do on the planets. I always go ahead and experience. Let me just try that potion before y'all do. What it does mean is that we are basically in this first week of Scorpio making the cuts. So it's time to really draw a line between the new you and the old you. And Scorpio consciousness is the boundary. That lunar eclipse is at 5 degrees Taurus. So ultimately it's going to kill off. What happens on a lunar eclipse, by the way, is, the moon is a big reflector. It reflects emotion back. It reflects the light of the sun back onto the earth. So it reflects our heart, our love's energy back onto the earth. But on an eclipse, what happens is the earth's shadow, which means the earth's fear, the earth's trauma, the earth's drama, all the negativity of the earth, gets casted upon the moon and then recasted onto the earth. So we are in observation of our shadow. It's basically shadow boxing and facing the dark shadow that we have currently in our soul. And once we see it, once you see the boogeyman, then you begin to address the boogeyman. So we're all going to see our intellectual boogeyman of our thoughts this week. You're going to see where your mind is your enemy, where your mind undercuts your value, because it's the moon in Taurus. So it's going to be a breakdown. What's interesting is this eclipse at 5 degrees Taurus, Jupiter is in Taurus and it's retrograding back to this place. And Jupiter actually stations direct at 5 degrees on New Year's Eve.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Our story. So that's our story, and thinking about our story and in our public, also our public image, right? Our face of it, right?
Yeah. So letting go of our really, I think, our depreciating thoughts, the thoughts that think of ourselves as wounded or think of ourselves as less than or not good enough or that sort of thing. And I think what it is the erasing or the removal or the releasing of our negative self-talk that was tied to the old spiritual story you were born to. I think that's what it is. So this whole week is a week of releasing. All the way up to step 11, Scorpio is releasing the old version of ourself. And then we're going to release the old version of our life. And then we're going to release the old version of our long-term commitments and associations as it goes through all the decans of Scorpio.
And it's step 11, we will be bringing in whatever changes. We'll be attracting all the stuff that we need to release that story. So if I've had a story that I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not worthy of this, or my story is I'm always beat up by the authorities or by power, then to release that, the final release is to show it to me. So that's where people are that's where the bumpiness comes, right? Where people, all of a sudden, shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, if you are awake, you will break your left foot. I mean, you're asleep, rather. like something will happen or crack, to get in front of you. The thing about Scorpio is it's undeniable. So, and that's why we're doing this truth and purpose phase, because you're going to see your truth. And what's fascinating is once the sun hits 11 degrees Scorpio, it will directly oppose Jupiter at 11 degrees Taurus. So it actually opposes Jupiter at 11 at that final moment. It can't be more perfect as far as the numbers are concerned. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, we are ending that old story we tell ourselves. And I think it's very important. I think people underestimate, I think I spoke to this on our last live, that, television programming, you repeat something enough to yourself in your mind, you start to believe it. You start to believe it, you start to manifest it. So we forget that our mind can be quite toxic to our happiness. We don't think so. We think we're being, rational or logical, but quite often we're, sealing our own fate.
Yeah, and somebody said 11, 11, 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the 11's 11s. That's the lining up of consciousness. 11, 11, in my opinion, is the law of attraction in action. So one is you are the love, step 1, and 11 is when you attract what you are. I think 11 is the body. 11 is the embodiment of the soul. It is Virgo. So the body is the reflection of the soul mirrored. So we are basically cutting all the old ties and old cords to our relationship to ourselves, so that when we get to 11, we will create a new version of ourselves. So this is going to be the most profound Scorpio season, as Cynthia read that text, because in this year, because the sun's trining Saturn at 0 Pisces, so this first 11 degrees, we basically are literally cutting our karmic cords with ourselves.
So there's a lot of talk about this. You know, I get some people go, what do you mean? As somebody go, karma, I thought this was about the body. I'm leaving this channel. I'm out of there. And I'm like, she sent me a DM to tell me she's leaving. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. You sent me a DM to tell me you're leaving.
Right.
So that means you really want to stay.
Right, right. You're wanting me to chase you out the.
Yeah, you want me to chase you. And I'm like, well, goodbye. But when we say cutting our karma and creating new karma, what does that actually mean? Like, what does creating new karma mean?
Okay, so when you have desire, okay, you create a co-creation relationship to the universe. You have this desire in you, and what karma is really the memory of certain desires, and that desire could be a desire for revenge because you were hurt. That could be a desire to avenge because someone you love got hurt. That could be a desire to not have made the mistake in the first place. Boy, I really wish I would have made that mistake. Oh, good. You'll remanifest that in the next life where you'll make the same mistake again and have the opportunity to not make that mistake again. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So what karma is our deep subconscious memories of our soul still attached to something in physical reality. I'm attached to the time I was king and I was rich and famous as a king. I'm attached to the time that I got wounded in the war. So I think I probably died with a club foot or some sort of a limp, and I was upset and mad at myself for my entire life that I allowed myself to get injured like that. And so my soul is holding on to that. And so what do we do? Because I'm still holding on to that, I won't let it go, that memory. I manifest a less severe experience of that. That's the karma. And the difference is how I respond this time. This time, I won't die regretting my left foot being injured. I'm going to overcome that. So we have positive karma and we have negative karma. And karma is basically a spiritual memory that you're still holding on to.
So we're creating new karma, which means that we have the opportunity to then, when something bad happens, like when I felt like my rib was out or my chest was out, I couldn't breathe, to sit in there and go, okay, I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna ask my body and talk to it and let it happen rather than fixing it, which I believe was me changing my story. Because before it's like, fix it, fix it, fix it. And I'm really good at that.
Yes. Responding differently is the best way to kill a karmic cord. So you may not know the right way to respond because there is no right or wrong. There's either it works or it doesn't work. But as long as you respond differently than the time you did last time, you've edged yourself out of that rut. You're now out of the sand trap, in a golf reference, so to speak, because you replied differently. So our response is the most important thing. People often think, well, I'm going to get started on this new diet. Well, yeah, initiation is important, but really the power of change is in our response, not in our initiations.
Yeah, because if they're starting on a new diet, it means that they failed at old ones before. And when they failed at the old ones, they're likely to have a failure if they start or come up against that thought or that feeling, and then they get to do something different. Like, I've always stopped at this point. I've always gotten to this point, and then something beat me up. And this time I can choose to do something different. And it's at those crisis points. It's at those points where it's like you come to some sort of decision that you have to make or some sort of realization, right?
Builds up, yeah, to a crisis point. I think there's a lot of reminders, leading up to the crisis point. It builds to that point.
Yeah. It just doesn't happen. It's like people say, I got a diagnosis. I was happy and healthy my whole life. I got a diagnosis. I had cancer. I was gonna die in 6 months. I'm like, no, that's not the way it is. There were like millions of little signs along the way that you need to do something different. You didn't listen to them. Now you got a diagnosis that said, you didn't listen to this for a long time.
Yeah, precisely. The universe, and that we say that with the planets. So it's like, Mars is like, hey, you better fix that. Jupiter's like, did you know you have a problem? Saturn's like, you better take care of this problem. Neptune's like a dream that comes to you like you have a problem. And then Pluto's finally like, all right, dumbass, we told you. We tried to tell you with Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. Uranus trips you up. Actually, I skipped a planet there, but that's the cycle. Literally, you see, lifetime after lifetime, it just moves to the next planet. Is our thought as astrologers. That if you don't solve it until you hit the final line, which is Pluto.
So by the time as you go down that line, how they're so neatly ordered, by the time you get to Pisces and you have it in your dream, it's like your dream is like, okay, I got to pay attention to it now.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're dreaming about something, I mean, that's your subconscious really, it's literally breaking the barrier into conscious awareness, that something that you were not paying attention to. Yeah. And you're on a spiral that is tripping over it.
So it's funny because, being a 29 degree, the opposite of that's 0. So the first 2 people in my live this morning, first one was a 0 degree Aquarius.
That's interesting.
And then the second person I haven't talked to in over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And he was a 0 degree Gemini. And I'm like, oh, I can't miss that the first 2 people I bring up is those 2, because Gemini is the opposite of me, and it's my reflection, and it's the mastery of my reflection in action. And same thing with Aquarius, which is really about community and fairness. And that's what we did actually on the weekend, on Saturday, is we were turning the knobs on this new community that's opening up worldwide.
Well, that's brilliant. And you're attracting a lot of zeros, you said?
Yeah. Well, zeros and 29s come out of the woodwork. Another 29 Scorpio came up to me at the event, and he's like, he came up and he was trying to talk. It's funny because there's like 500 people, and I just certain people I'm attracted to, and I'm watching him. He's struggling with a few things, and then afterwards he comes up, and I'm starting, talking to him a little bit. Hey, how's it going? And just trying to get to the root of how I can help him and move forward. And then he goes, yeah, I'm a 29 degree Scorpio. And I'm like, oh, okay. I got a club for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Forget in the 28-day reset. As long as you're in that 28-day reset or the Lifestyle Artist program, I got a club for you. But it's like a magnet. It's like these people are being pulled in constantly.
That's fascinating. I love that you're studying this on an empirical level. And I do think I have a message for the 29s. Now that Saturn's at 0, I think that your work really begins. So I really think that, because 29 is about 2 things. One, you have to catch up to your mastery. So you have to relive every mistake you've ever made in all your past lives, and you have to catch up to get to that place of being at a master point. It's not, and the problem with the 29 is they remember being almost there, so they tend to be very impatient as they try to trailblaze through their life really crazy, just trying to run to get to the goal. But then once you realize there's nothing wrong with me, I'm in my integrity net 11, then suddenly now you have the power to change reality.
Yeah.
And 29s hold the power to change reality. They are the magicians of the zodiac. They're here to push the envelope. So we say consciousness is constantly expanding. Well, the ones at the forefront of that expansion are the 29s.
Yeah.
They're the ones going, well, who says boundaries has to be this way? 29 Scorpio goes, you don't have to necessarily cut it that way. You could cut it this way. And it's like, oh, shit, you can get away with that? Like, yep, I just did, said the 29s. Who stopped me? Who's going to stop me, says the 29, right? And that's what you're doing, with health and also with belief structure and putting all your beliefs together. But now that Saturn's at 0 and we're at the story we were born to live, I think 29s are now going to be the pushing innovators, and for them to push.
I can feel that. I mean, I know that's why, because I've been embodying this thought process for some time. And like I said, 2 years ago, I started requiring that everybody gave me their astrology when they talk to me. I'm doing it for free, so that's my ask.
Yeah.
And I started seeing 29s in the charts everywhere. So every person that talked to me had 29 in their chart, like in Pisces or Saturn or their ascendant. But then all of a sudden they started coming in with 29s at their sun sign. And I got to put these guys in a group and study them. It's like I have this lab experiment scientific mind that says, what happens if we put them all in one channel? And we added the zeros in there just because I wanted to see what it looked like afterwards, like next lifetime.
Yes. And the interesting thing about 0 too is when you're that high up, you need to pay attention to the ground.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point of 0. It's like, because when you're that high up, then the only thing that really changes is, if you want to change your view, you have to change your foundation, how you are founded, because you're, built all the way up like a pyramid to 29 degrees. So I think 0 is very important to a 29.
So what is it? Okay, we're going into Scorpio. So we got the eclipse coming up for the other side of the world. So basically, this side of the world had basically a light shone on us to say, okay, this is what you need to bring up. The other side of the world has got darkness saying, this is what you need to get rid of.
You get rid of negative thinking. Yes. I mean, it's more, it's more, so it really is a subconscious, awake conscious thing. So you could say that the United States, the Western world, our subconscious needs to let go of negative because we'll be
Right.
because we won't. Yeah, because of where we're the sleep schedule of when it's going to happen, and our waking consciousness, and vice versa, basically.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you view it, then you are more, and I think that's true. I mean, my European clients and stuff, they actually are a bit more pessimistic than us Americans.
Yeah, generally they are. Yeah, generally they're more pessimistic, or can sometimes be seen reserved or conservative. Because if I'm pessimistic, I'm not going to jump on that boat yet.
Yeah, there's and Americans, we will like foolhardily jump on the boat and break our ankle. You know what I mean? So we pay that price. But I can see where America, at least most of our citizens, still tend to be, optimistic.
Yeah.
They can get sullen sometimes, but overall, we tend to take the bright side. We still have that American dream playing out for us, I think, that helps us. So, yeah.
So you having all the information, all the knowledge that you have, and the embodiment of the experience, you break your foot. And you know what it's about. It's about opening up your feminine, your emotional side. It's about your spiritual side. It's about your intuition. You know that. So how do you talk yourself off that cliff? Because you got Western medicine, by the way. And just so you know, when you see the break that I'm going to send you, one of the worst breaks I've ever worked with, and he's up and walking and moving around without any surgery. And by the way, I have yet to see a surgery on a foot with pins that has worked out long term. Okay. Every single one I've ever seen, their hip, their shoulder, their jaw, their head, they have contortions in their body. I've never seen the foot. Yeah, it looks like it's okay, but we'll talk about that offline.
Okay.
But so you have all this knowledge and all this information about it. How do you talk yourself off the ledge? Because people are going to come up against this. They're going to come up against situations where they're faced to look at physical issues in their body, like even me with my back.
Well, I always appreciate when the universe talks back to me. And so it's undeniable. If the universe sends me a message like that, then I'm like, to me, it's an undeniable message. I'm actually grateful for the message, because I have suspicions and things like that. And so for me, if God talks back with something undeniable, like a sign, such as breaking my foot, then I say to myself, I have no choice but to listen to this sign and understand it, So
But you have no choice to listen to the sign, but the old way of doing it would be follow the fear path.
Yeah, the old way would be to follow. My old stuff would be panicking, would be worried about outcome. I actually feel when things mess up like that, my best comes out first of all. So I'm my best when I'm against, any sort of adversity that brings out the best of me.
That's the Aries.
So yes, it does. So it's like, oh, you want to see, knock me down and see how far I go then. It's like, when things are going smooth is when I start self-sabotaging and start making a problem where there wasn't one. That's my issue. Yeah. So when God presents a real, trips me up, I go, okay, this is an absolute sign. It's undeniable. The truth is my Leo pride gets a little embarrassed at times, but also being a light worker, I'm just like, okay, we're just going to spin this into a lesson for the whole class. You know what I mean?
Somebody said that they're 29-degree Libra. Totally relates. Yes.
Happy step birthday, 29-degree Libra.
Yeah.
Hope it was good for you.
Step birthday. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what is funny? I only send birthday greetings to people on their step birthday.
Yeah.
And they're like, and they'll send it and say you're a day late or whatever. And the thing is, I don't even think of it another way because I know them as like a 26 degree. So it's 26 degree. I'm like, oh, hey, happy birthday. That was 2 days ago. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It's right now. It's today.
Today's your energetic birthday. You'll find if you pay attention to your birthday and your step birthday, you'll feel that your birthday feels like your birthday on your step birthday. It doesn't feel like your birthday if it's your calendar birthday and it's not your step.
That is true because on my birthday, I always feel better that day or the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Or me the day before and then the day of is sort of meh. So you can really feel the earth is playing your tune when it's your step number on your step birthday. So yeah.
And by the way, I want to say something to Mary Wright. just so we don't get the wrong information for her. Mary, if you're in our programs, our 28-day reset and our lifestyle artist program, you can message me. We have a special club of people that I want to introduce you to, but you have to be in our programs. That's my ask right now.
Yeah, and Mary, right, this is going to be a hell of a year for you. Okay.
Yes.
With the South Node in Libra, I think Libras are really coming into, they're having to let go of their ego stuff, ironically, let go of where their ego's in the way. So they're going to have some right foot issues.
Yeah. So talk to my 29 group. I've been last 4 months, I've been letting them, just observing them to see who shows up, what happens. But now I'm saying that they're called into action. That's what I said to them this morning. I sent a message out and said, you guys are being called to a higher level of action and service in your life. If you're not with it, it's going to suck. If you're with it, you're going to get it. You're going to make. So what do I tell them? Like, I'm going to meet with them in the next week or so.
That it's time for them to push the envelope, which is what they're here to do. It's time for them to redefine what integrity is. So it's sort of like, just like we redefine, like, the FDA redefines the 5 food groups or whatever. It's the same type of thing. It's time to redefine what you are good at. And what you have to listen to is your feelings. 29 is about responding to your own feelings. So the mistake is a 29 has to keep their eye on how they feel and their eye on the goal, because society is not going to agree with you. They're not. That's the whole point of you, is that you are telling society this is the way it is now. And the truth is yes, that's the way it was before Gary Linehan, okay? Like before the 29 person comes into the play, but they're here to push that envelope. They're here to live and become that too. The other thing about 29 is, and that's to 11, you have to eat your own dog food that you create. You have to become what you are preaching, because we won't believe you if you just tell us. You have to show us. So 29s have to show by example, because we won't believe that the world is round until we see that you don't fall off the edge. We have to see it to believe it. So this is a moment for the 29s. The world needs leadership in every capacity. All states of awareness need leadership. We're lost. We're in a dark period. We're redefining ourselves as a planet. So this is the time for 29s to shine, for sure.
So now to take the polish off the 29s, because it's not a pecking order. It's not like you want a prize or you're a celebrity. It's like you just had lots of shit happen in your life to, like you said, prepare you for this moment. So what happens when somebody has like a 29 in a single state of awareness, like their ego or like their thoughts or like their Pluto or something like that?
So if it's one planet, then that's one part of you, that is the part of you that's excelling. For instance, I can't think of the name of who is the physicist who was in a wheelchair and spoke through a voice box?
Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins. So it's like, I haven't seen his chart, but he might have Mercury at 29. So his mind was pushing the envelope, but his body certainly wasn't a 29.
Yeah.
It was severely damaged and diseased. So, it means that the one part of you is going to be the part of you that excels the most. If you have a sun at 29, then your whole life is going to excel, because the sun is the center. Wherever the sun goes, all the other planets go with it. So the sun, 29, is the one where your entire life is about pushing that envelope. All of your states of awareness have to follow in suit to the 29. If it's just another planet, then just be an isolated one.
So part of it is I accept that that's my life now, but I also accept that that doesn't necessarily fit with the reality of everybody else's story.
It doesn't.
I'm finally happy in my life in every moment, every day when I wake up, because I'm doing what I was meant to do. And I love my kids, but I wasn't there to build a white picket fence and have, and raise triple grandchildren and stuff like that. I was there to pave a path so that they have a world to live in differently than the world I lived in. And I used to beat myself up. Like, I remember standing in the shower when I was a kid saying, why can't I just be normal like everybody else? I thought it was about being an entrepreneur, but it was about being a 29.
It is, yeah. I think, that old phrase, it's lonely at the top. I think it's good that you have this 29 anonymous group or whatever. I think it's really smart, because I think that, leaders and pioneers need to network with one another so they don't feel so alone. I also think that when you're broaching 29, it's about your relationship to creator. and your relationship to the other side too. I mean, you, to some degree, you are bridging, you know, that edge of life and spirituality, that next dimension. You're pushing life to the next dimension, which means your friends and allies are probably, you know, your senseis in the next dimension more than they are the people who are following you in your wake.
You know, look at, I don't know if you've noticed in the comments all the 29s that are in all the different degrees. So it's like they just know to be here. That's the point.
Oh yeah, they're attracted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I think it's good. I think there's an energetic law of attraction at work for sure.
Yeah, so we've got Sacred Blueprints, who's 29 Taurus and Jupiter. So that's kind of splitting the middle between me and you.
Conscious Healing Laura, I'm an 18 sun myself, Laura. So you're talking another 18.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we are committed to our heart. 18 is a commitment to our heart. And you know, I'll just do a shameless plug. We started 40 Days of Truth and Purpose starting tomorrow, but we created a cipher, a PDF cipher. So what this cipher
do you get it emailed to us, or
you download it right on the entry? So on the main lobby, just go into 40 Days of Truth and Purpose, and on the introductory first day, there's a thing to download the cipher. It's a PDF where you can decode your entire chart by entering in first the planet, then the sign, then the step number, and then the house deacon, and it creates a sentence for you that is your truth statement, and then at the bottom is your purpose statement. So you can decode the truth and purpose of your entire chart with this one PDF.
So in order for people to do that, they just sign up for Sirius Joy. You can go to Human Garage, our website, under products, partners, Sirius Joy. You can sign up there, and then you it's $3.99 for the first month. If it doesn't resonate with you, get rid of it. But I'm betting it's going to resonate with you. Yeah. And then they could start tomorrow with everybody the 40 Days of Purpose.
That's correct.
And that's really going to take us through Scorpio into Sagittarius.
Into 12 Sag, Grandmaster Sag, from Grandmaster Scorpio to Grandmaster Sag.
And
that's where we're going.
And that's going to allow us to see our reflection, the stories we've told ourselves, the boundaries we set and we haven't set. And so to make sense, actually, I'm going to tell people literally to make sense of the shit that's going to happen in the world over the next 40 days.
I think totally. And also where you stand with yourself. And when you know where you stand with yourself, you know where you stand with the world. Because a lot of times our position to the world is an overcompensation to something we needed from ourselves. So we're expecting the world to treat us fairly because we're treating ourselves unfairly. Or we're expecting certain things. And we're also law of attracting based on how we are to ourselves. So we go one planet per day, and we go into whole master objects. There's a whole bunch of new I statements. So there is I pray, there is I agree to, there's I fear, there's I'm triggered by, basically. So these are the different fixed stars, different dwarf planets like Ceres. Like we're going to the whole 9 yards of your chart. And what you do is step by step. So tomorrow is the Pluto day. So tomorrow we look at Pluto in our chart. There's like a 10-minute lecture that I talk about Pluto. You use the cipher to figure out what your truth and purpose statements are. And then I do a little bit of journaling, like, so, you know, name 3 things about yourself where you are failing to protect yourself. Name 3 things you could do for yourself to protect yourself. So getting you to sort of stretch and make your awareness. And because we do it in the 11 steps to Sirius Joy, you basically rebuild your whole foundation from 0 to 11. And of course, between the sun opposing Jupiter, the new story. So it literally is, I think, the ringing out and clarity of who you are and what your purpose is. And your truth is the way you vibrate naturally. Your purpose is where your soul intends to take it. That's the distinction between the two.
So we're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna even watch this in post. And if they're 3 or 4 days in, they can still start.
You totally can, actually. Absolutely, yeah. Yes. You can catch up. I mean, you can catch up and journal on those. We're doing on the day of, because we think you'll be most aware of your boundaries on step 0 day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can feel it coming up. I could feel it when it was switching during my live earlier. And like I said, at the exact moment that it switched, then the first person I brought up was the 0 degrees Aquarius.
Now, ding dong.
Yeah. It's like pizza. Somebody ordered pizza?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a phenomenal exercise for anyone. I mean, if you want to know astrology, if you want to master step astrology, if you want to know yourself, You couldn't pick a better time than the sun trining Saturn to understand yourself to a T, and to understand what your soul is inclined to. So it's undeniable.
Somebody
You'll
said,
come away
yeah,
with
I can't register. You guys just email support at SiriusJoy.com, right?
and the capture repeats. Okay, so yeah, anyone has a problem. Every now and then we see people with problems in different devices. Just screenshot that for us and email support@SiriusJoy.com, and we'll troubleshoot it and we'll get back to you. We do have a customer service department. We actually get back to phone calls and emails.
Yeah, that's the greatest part about you. I mean, there's a lot of great things, but it's like when there is an issue, we can solve it. And for anybody who's out here is looking, it's like this app has literally changed my life. Because it's allowed me the grace of coaching me into astrology without having to go take an astrology program. I became a quasi astrologer just by actually looking at my shit and the people around me every day.
Dude, and download this cipher, start using it on your clients, man. Like it's gonna give you
I'm doing it right now, man.
Okay, good. Yeah, you're gonna love it. I'd love to hear your feedback next week on it and any suggestions.
Yeah, I'll give you my feedback, and also the other part too is, maybe your foot's bringing us together sooner, because I want to take this next step and say, in the body, here's what you do, here's how it works, because we've got the information, but it's the final. It needs the window dressing now. It needs the Chris Witecki magic.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to collaborate on that and build a health cipher.
You know what? It's like they say in show business, eh? Go break a leg.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, Chris,
Yeah.
this has been awesome. I love these conversations. Thank you again. You've made such a difference to me and everybody in our community. We have such a loyal fan base of followers, and that's growing as we get going. So, and I'm sure there's going to be asking for more stuff for you to do with our community soon. So looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
I would love it. I'll come be a guest speaker at that 29 group someday. Just let me know.
Actually, absolutely. I think that would be the most powerful thing. Yeah, I'll set that up.
Okay, sounds good. Love you, brother. Love Human Garage. Love to
you, Chris.
everyone.
Take
Bye.
care.
Ciao for
Bye.
now.
Okay, and if you guys haven't done it yet, you can go to our website, go to products and partners, and sign up for Sirius Joy. Give it a shot. This is the time. If you're ever thinking about giving it a shot, now's the time to give it a shot. It's $3.99 for the first month. And why do we do this? Why do I promote this over and over again? It's because it changed my life. I want you to have that change. And guys, also too, if you haven't done it yet, get into the reset. This is the time. If you're in the reset, you'll have tools to help with what's coming. If you're still coasting out there watching this, and that's all fine, I'm glad you're here doing this, but if you get into the reset, you're going to have tools to handle what's coming. So looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow on the live, and let's see what happens next week with this moon coming up. And this moon is going to be a shaker for a lot of people. So looking forward to seeing what comes up.